So good evening everybody, you're watching GTSam. I'm Sam, and today this is a 3-part segment special on my Acura TL. We are going ahead and replacing the engine mounts. Yes, all 3 of them. There is 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're gonna do them all. My last video I went ahead and did was on the actual transmission mounts, and if you've seen it, you know what kind of an interesting project that was. But we did it, it's complete. And if you need help with that, I'll give you a link in the description down below for a video on how to do that. But that's not for this video. This video is all about the engine mounts. It turns out all my engine mounts are bad on this engine. I mean, it goes to figure that they would all go bad again after 266,000 total miles on this engine. The last time I replaced them was only the side and the front, and that was about at like 190,000 miles. So it's kind of be expected that they would all go out again. And the way I drive the car, that's okay. I'm fully expecting. Guys, I have a little bit of confession to make on this one. I've been kind of dragging my feet on making this video because it's kind of time consuming. It's a lot to do. And I've done the front and the side mount before, and it took a little bit of time. The back one's gonna be even a little bit more time because you have to remove so much more off the top of the engine. But I have to tell you what, I had a little push and a little inspiration a lot more lately of me just getting this stuff done. It's important for the safety and the health of your car and your engine. Now let me go ahead and explain just a little bit. And we go into some track days and stuff like that up like one of the raceways over here, and it's amazing. There's such an adrenaline and a thrill rush there that they have track days just for like testing out your car. It's nothing official, nothing really intense. It's just, you know, they set up the cones, they're in the parking lot, and you get to like do time trials and test out your car for what you did with it. And that's where I'm coming in. I'm going in, I'm entering this in to those track days to see what this could do after 266,000 miles. And from 2004 to now, and everything I've done to it, what kind of power and responses and times we can get out of this, and maybe grip. Hopefully there's some grip in there too. But I just would not feel comfortable taking this out up there and really just hammering on the engine and just knowing that the mounts are no good. So I'm doing this for your guys' sake and for mine as well. And if you stick with me, I think we get this done in no time. All right, so let me give you a little bit of idea what's gonna be happening here. And this is gonna be part 1, kind of like the intro video to everything. And we're gonna be doing the first mount, which I'm just gonna go for the rear first. And we'll kind of go through how to set that all up and then kind of set ourselves up for the rest of the mounts along the way though. Just like that, I'm in my mechanic suit. And, all right, what do you know? I got blue gloves, blue mechanic suit, blue covers, blue car. Man, it's meant to be. Anyways, so. And you know what, before we go any further, I want to give you guys just a little instance of what an actual torn mount looks like and kind of some of the symptoms, and just visually, and then especially for when you actually give the car gas. The engine will move so much more. You'll hear maybe like a knock of some sort of rattle going on in some random weird places. I know I did, I had it all. And then it's gonna be a lot looser when you're trying to drive. And over on this boot here, you'd be kind of surprised to see what's going on with this one, but it's all torn up. Not that, you could also see that this boot is completely ripped. I actually had to jack up the engine slightly and move the boot around, so I don't want to keep knocking on the metal for the time being. But you can see it's just, yeah, it's completely ripped. And down below there, it's just pulling right out of the rubber socket there. So, and it's already wearing through again, so it's no good. It's all dry and cracking as well. Unfortunately, I can't give you guys a good enough access to see into the front and the rear one. It'd be too hard to try and capture all of that, but that's kind of the general idea and what they all kind of do. Now, the front and the back have braces on top of them, so your engine doesn't completely fly out of its seat, and then you have a complete catastrophe with everything. So, in your case, if everything got really severe, you know, that would be stopping it. But I don't think we're at that point yet, so that's good. Okay, so here are 2 engine mounts, actually. Which one's which? Aha. So, which one's which? This one's a little bit smaller, this one's a little bit larger. So, if you think about it, the front one is doing a lot of the heavy lifting because you give it acceleration, it's pulling back on the engine, and so it needs more resistance. And so the bigger one has more of that ability to do that. Where the rear one, you know, it doesn't pull as much, it kind of sinks it down, it's kind of like this. Where this one kind of goes like pulling back up and out of its chute, really. So this one is going to go in the front, this one's going to go in the rear. So this is kind of what it looks like. Alright guys, so here we are. So now we're just going to take stuff apart here in the back to access the mount. So the first one we're going to get rid of is the strut bar. So what we need to do is we got the 3 bolts on each side that are holding it in. So I suggest using a breaker bar or impact gun if you really want to. So you're going to need a size 12 impact. Then got some doodads here. Got, you know, my breaker bar and 1/4 inch. And we got a 1/4 inch extension adapter to this 1/2 inch. So snap it on in. Yeah, here we go. Give it a little extra length here so we don't have to like mess up anything. We'll get too close and just not have enough room. Nice bite. One. Alright, and also we have some brackets kind of hanging onto here. We got the fuse box and we got some electrical wiring here. Also we got some 10s back there. I'll just move this one all the way up to the side here as well. There we go. Now I loosened it up, just leave it loose, you gotta let it hang out there honestly. Alright, should be able to remove this bolt and then you should be able to take the rest of this bracket off. Alright, a small thing. Let's see. Yep, alright. Everything's nice and loose at the top. Like, okay guys, so we got the actual throttle body here, so we need to disconnect the bracket from it. So let's see what we got here. So it should be one bolt right on top here from what I remember. Pull this out. A little tug, boom, there we go. Nice. Actually hollow and kind of light. Wow. Good. So off the side. Alright, time for some handheld action here and show you what we have. Alright, so look all the space we just cleared up right here. So right, boom, there it is. Now, your setup might look a little bit different here. We have some wires like right here that I've like worked with before and see they're already kind of unclipped and out of the way. So they're just kind of tucked down. But then just have the hose over here, and then we have one big power steering hose right here. You can move it right here and pop it out of the way, but still a little tight. I suggest we remove the whole bracket. There's one 10mm bolt right here, so we'll do that in a moment here. But I just wanted to show you what this actually looks like here. So there's our mount. So we have our bracket right on top here, and this just goes right to the engine. And then we have the 2 bolts on each side for this bracket, the mount, for the bracket to hold it in. If they're loosened up here, they're going to be tight. So you need some impact rated sockets and extensions to bust these out, and then we should be able to move on. Ultimate goal, I believe, is going to be we're going to kind of get it out that way to the right. But I don't think we're going to be able to pull out to the top here. We have to go to the right because there's a lot more room. Now I have a lot of room over here actually. Seems like I'm just going to have to move some hoses and wires around because, you know, I don't have like the strut bar or anything like that here. So it does definitely help out here to remove that and some of this extra stuff here. But if you need to remove any extra hoses, in your case with anything, and screws, just go ahead and do that. Just make sure you know what they are, and I'll put them back and how to handle them safely for whatever they're containing. But here we go. Let me get you guys a better view of the whole process here of what we're doing. But before that, we got to go ahead and jack up the engine a little bit. You need a block of wood, something a little bit softer. In previous videos, I've told you guys how to do this, but I'm going to go over it again real quick. So you guys want to jack up your engine just a little bit. We can give it a little bit of lift, and to do that we just need to put the jack right underneath the oil pan of the engine, and we want just a nice sized block to put right in between there as well. And what I like to do is I like to make sure it's not really in the center, but kind of like on the edges slightly, or if the piece of wood spreads out to like the edges, that's good too. You know, just distribute the weight to the edges where it's thicker. The middle, you know, might be a little bit thinner and softer and more susceptible to if something would go wrong. I mean, I'll only say if. Now, that's happened before to me before yet. You know, we're not going to allow that to happen. So this is a try and shoot method here. So let's go ahead and get this in place. Well, if you're like me and you live on a sloped driveway, then you're gonna have a problem because my whole front was just coming down more towards me in the front of the engine. I couldn't even barely get the jack under there, the piece of wood. But now, boom, we got so much clearance. It's gonna rig this up here. There you go. All right, go find our good spot. I'm gonna put it over that corner over here. Yeah, I like that. Kind of lines up with the thing. All right, remember, just barely. Doink. Make sure it's not hitting the exhaust or anything either. All right, we're touching. Give it a little more gusto. All right, don't need to go too crazy yet, so I'm just gonna leave that like that for now. Let's go ahead and take care of this hose real quick before we do anything else and move on. All right. Well, I think we can give the best view that I can. I know it's a heck of a view right now. But this is an air hose right here. And this is kind of in the way. I'm just going to remove it real quick because this is connected to the intake manifold. You know, whatever to make the process more smooth, all right? All right. Set that out of the way. Boom. Much better. All right. Now, let me get my setup together here, show you what I'm working with here. I think is best. That will help us out the most. Alright guys, got my super wide lens on for this shot because I'm going to need it. Because got this big setup here for my breaker bar. So I've got two massive extensions together, 1/2-inch breaker bar. Then got my impact rated 17mm socket. Ready to roll. Alright. Let's go. Bolts on the sides there. And it. I'm going kind of short for now. Okay. Let me see. Oh, I can't be it, can it? No. No way. That's it. What we got here is two smalls. Go with that. See what that does. The two smalls here. You know, hitting against some hoses and stuff like that. Not bad, but we should have plenty more room. Alright, here we go. So when I hang the bolts on the sides, were easy to get off. They were not very tight at all. Now we still have about like 3 or 4 still on the mount of the actual, well, the engine mount itself. So that might be a little trickier. Reach down. There we go. All right. One part done. All right. So we see a little rubber bumper up here. It's gonna hold in place. Okay, so I can't really see the condition of everything right now, but what I'm gonna do is just kind of show you the bolts and all that. So you see right back corner, front there. It's got there and behind all this. Let's see, and right back there. So we have to get them all. You know, break them all off. And it's tight, not gonna lie. But I think we might be able to get a wrench down there, be able to pull, might work. I'm gonna try some extensions and some like elbows and things like that to try and get in there. So let's go ahead. I'll try for this side first, see what we get. coming in. Okay, here we go. I got my short extension here. I got like this short breaker bar going on here, and they kind of makeshift, but bolts down below are 14 millimeters. So I'm gonna go ahead down there and give this a shot. Now, one thing I had to do is see this rubber here. It's kind of getting in the way. So what I do is kind of pull it up, push it back, and I put it behind the bolt right here. You see right there. Kind of keep it out of the way because you need all the room you can get to put everything in there. So honestly, it's just too tight to really have this down there and be pulling. You're gonna like break your arm, man. One second. All right, let's try. Again, it's a little bit easier. We're gonna work smarter, not harder. So let's do this. Okay, everyone, stay with me on this. Okay, got an idea. I think it's gonna work. Check it out. All right, we have 14 millimeter to a very small half-inch extension, half-inch to a quarter, and then a quarter pivoter, and then we have a quarter to half-inch extension, half-inch breaker bar. All right. Yeah, I'm not gonna be using that much force because I really don't want to, because I know something probably would break. So let's not break something. We're locked in. Yeah, no, I'm not using that much force. We did it! Alright, cool, okay. Good stuff. Yep, there we go. Cool. Got it. It feels so smooth, it's kind of suspicious, like, did I break it? I'm a little surprised how this is going. I mean, these things aren't giganto gorilla tight. It's tight enough. Which maybe I should be thankful for. Guys, I'm gonna try and narrate for you as much as I can on this, but I'm gonna go try for the back bolt first here. So we've got our setup still configured for that whole process. And it looks like I'm on there nice and snug. At the bar. Alright. Go ahead and see what we got. Nice and easy. Not too easy. There we go. Loosened. Good. So get that off. This whole thing's coming right undone. You might have to move the rubber out of the way. Probably for the best. Put in the bolt. There we go. So there's actually a lot of room for everything, but everything's just so far back all the time. Alright. Okay. Secure. Get going. Guys, we got some stuff in the way here. It's a throttle cable. So it's on a bracket here. You're better off popping this out of the way too. There we go. That's a lot better. Sheesh. Now, just a word of advice as well. There is a hydraulic line at the bottom of the rear, this one, and then the front of the engine for these. Now, it's not too complicated to take it on or off. It's usually just you push it on, I believe, and it just kind of sits there. From last I remember. We're about to find out. Alright guys, so now we actually have to get the actual bolt off on the actual mount itself. So I recommend trying just a wrench first. So yeah, definitely would recommend using a wrench on this one. So that fits on there nicely. You can put another end on it and you give it a lot more leverage. Now remember, this is backwards, so you know lefty loosey righty tighty is a little bit more wonky, so you guys have flipped around. So what we want to do, instead of going this way, we want to just actually go to the tighten way, and that'll loosen it if you're actually facing it. So try and do that. Get a bigger wrench. Oh, there we go. Whew. Okay, 14 and a 17 are recommended. Good news, I got the bolt out. There it is. So you could see kind of like some corrosion on it. So I went ahead and used a wire brush, cleaned it up, and then put a little WD-40 on to clean up even more. I don't think that's going to have any problem with staying in. It's just a very, very minimal bit. So, that's okay. Let's put that aside somewhere safe. Now, the fun part. No, like I said, it hasn't already been fun enough. So, I'm going to take this out. Now, we should be able to do is jack up the engine a little bit, slide it out, and then we should be home free. Maybe it might be even good enough now. So I'm going to try it now. Yeah, no. So I'm going to go ahead and jack up the engine just a little bit. See what we got. Yeah, look at that. See that? Nice. Okay. Let's move it off to the right here. There we go. Okay. Now we have the connector at the bottom. We have the hydraulic line. So I'm gonna need to think about this strategically. It could leak and it could make a little bit of a mess. It's all right. So let's see here. Uh-oh. Also, there's fluid coming out of the top, by the way. Well, I know you guys looking at my elbow a lot, but man, I can't get that hose out. Yeah, so that's the bottom side of the mount, and right in the middle there's a hose just hanging out. It should slip on and off thing. Got it. That's been on there way too long. We're right over here. We're gonna get through all this wiring and cabling. I think we can make it. Everything is disconnected as much as it can. Got our rag. Get this mount. I'm gonna try. See if I can remove this rubber casing. Help a little bit. Good start. It's time to go get it. Let's see what we can do. We're gonna slide right through the middle here. Okay, get the big fat electrical wire. Yeah, if you put this upside down, it's gonna leak. So don't. There's another little clip here you can undo. Pull. Alright, that might help. Okay, there we go. So I think the trick is push this towards the back and then pull it up and then up and out. Yes, made it. Alright guys, so here we go. We got the mount out, it's right here. And put a glove on here to kind of handle this a little bit. I'll show you. Here it is. You can see all that greasiness going on there. It's all dripping out all the like hydraulic fluid pretty much. So the top usually pops out of these because it's so worn out, and as you can see from this is all chewed up and ripped up good crazy. So what we're gonna do, let's see, we just pop out the top here. Ooh, it's kind of gross. Pops out of there like that. Anyways, that is the mount we just took out. Really glad we did. It's busted. It's broken. It's not holding anything down really. So this is all loosey-goosey over there. So we got a brand new one. Let me show you where that's at. Yeah, so we got everything. Got the top lined up at the top, and they both have markings on the top here. Let me show you. Hopefully you can see that. So it has a paint marking off on the right there. This one has an indent as well. It's not pink, but it's there. Everything lines up. Okay. Let's go ahead and put this one in before it gets too dark and too late out here. here we are, guys, with our new mount. We're ready to pop this baby back in, fresh and new, and like this paint, rubber, and everything sealed up, no crap leaking out of it. This is great. Okay, so we're gonna put this back. We're gonna slide it right through all these wires and everything like that. So remember, you know, the longer side here on top goes towards the engine, and the dot, you know, goes towards the engine as well. And underneath, you have to reconnect your hydraulic hose here. That's important. So it might be a little tough to get back on, but I don't think so. It shouldn't be too bad. Like, to get it off, it was a lot because I didn't replace this rear engine mount when I did my engine mounts last time because it's just too difficult. But now I've realized it's not as bad as I thought, which is good. And compared to probably doing it on my Honda Civic, oof. I think this is probably going a lot more swimmingly than that would have. After what I was saying, push this up in towards the actual firewall a little bit. Okay, let me get you your view over here now. Now, got to get the hose back in. I'm thinking it should be a little bit better, so let's give it a shot. Alright, so pro tip. As you can see, I'm lying on top of the engine right now. I'm hoisting myself up, and I could really reach down here pretty good. I probably should have been doing this a long time ago. So, yeah, I got the hose back in, slid it right back in, pop, there we go. Oh, nice. And before we forget, you know, I've got to put the top rubber piece back on. So I'm going to do that while I'm here right now. I don't really care what you see of me right now because I'm getting this job done well. I suggest you do this too. Just don't break any plastic when if you're sitting on any plastics or anything like that in your radiator, things like that. So, yeah, I'm gonna get that now. Remember, the big fat piece goes towards the rear. So, the more open part goes towards the firewall. I can't get the mount in there right now because it's so fresh and new and stand up a little bit taller that the top of the bracket's hitting it. So we need to get down underneath the engine again, jack up slightly, we slide it back in. We still need more clearance. What I went ahead and did off camera was I got the bolts all in on the sides, everything like that, because it'd just be much easier just to do it by myself. And it was actually very frustrating because, like, all the bolts around, I don't know why, but they would not go into those sockets. Just the most annoying thing ever. But here we are, we're doing good. And so I think we're ready to go ahead and start just tightening things down, lining things up. While the bottom bolts are not completely tightened down, I'm only putting them snug by hand tightening a little bit. I'm going to put this top bolt in here, see where we're at. Nice. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to leave it a little bit loose so in case there's any, I need to move things around a little bit, then we're good. So, okay, let me tighten this by hand as much as we can. Don't use the wrench the whole time. That's great. I think that little bit of WD-40 really helped out with any corrosion that's inside the socket and also on the bolt. Again, it wasn't a lot, so I don't think it's going to fly out. I think we'll be fine. Okay. That's there. And I'm going to do the other side. Put that down as much as I can. That's snug and touching. So what I want to do is I'm going to make sure everything's getting all lined up. I'm going to, since the mount's actually sitting firmly more down there, let's just let it go a little bit, the engine just ever so slightly. So when we actually tighten down the bolts all the way at the bottom, I'm not pulling a lot of strain on the upper top bolt. So I'm going to bring the engine ever so slightly down. There it is. Now, yeah, these weren't too crazy, so I'm not going to go too crazy on them either. Alright guys, bring that 14mm out and get your little extension here. We'll go in and get on top of my engine again, because I want this to be easy. Go ahead, let's tighten this down. Remember, it's opposite this time. So, loose in our eyes, it's tighten. That top bolt is in, tight, in, down like crazy. Okay, believe it or not, we're almost there. Let's get the bracket. Honestly, the top of this, there, I don't think there's really any right or wrong way. It's literally the same all around. So, go ahead and pop this on. Alright, and then now, I'm just going to let down the engine completely. Everything just shrunk. Well, folks, just about time to wrap everything up here. We've got the bolts all taken care of in the back there, and everything's tightened down and nice and tight. Now remember, don't go too tight. You don't want to strip any bolts or anything like that or break them off. So, you got your 14s and your 17s back there, and, you know, be smart about it and use like a long extension breaker bar. You should be able to kind of squeeze in here and get there at a nice angle. But, moving on, let's go ahead and button this back up. Alright, start clipping back in. There's the electrical connectors. You got the clips in the back here too. We'll make sure everything else is taken care of. Everything looks pretty good. Alright, got those electrical wires clipped in. The bottom one over here. Go ahead and put your throttle body cable back. Start putting some bolts for the power steering. Put that strut bar back on. Alright, got the wire harnessed over on the right here. Line that up. And then we got fuse box. Bracket back on for the throttle body. Boom, here it is. It's morning, it's bright out. I ran out of time last night and sunlight as well to be able to finish the rest of the video. And so here we are. We finished part 1 of all the engine mounts on the Acura TL here. So the first one we just completed was the rear, and so next we're going to move on to the front one, which is number 2. And then we'll move on to the third one, which is the side one, which is probably the easiest. But the one in front and the side should be much easier, much quicker, so we shouldn't have any problems with that. But guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up here, and also make sure you subscribe for when the next videos come out on this whole engine mount replacement. If you have any questions about the process or have any trouble at all working on this, I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And if you just want to leave a comment down below, go for it. I'd love to read it and respond as well. All right, but until I see you in the next video shortly, this is GTSam, and I'll catch you soon. Home with dinner. It's good seltzer. Yeah. Is that my burger and mac and cheese? No, seltzer. I feel kind of American right now.